Hey everybody, it's your boy Captain Hunter, but I think that you already knew that. You already knew that it was me, right? It's me. Yes, it's me. So have you ever wondered to yourself, can I sue the police if they don't read me my rights, my Miranda rights, the right to self-incrimination, and to not self-incriminate myself, right not to answer questions, my right to an attorney. If I can't afford to have one, the one will be appointed to me. I can start answering questions, but if I get uncomfortable, that I can stop answering questions. I can terminate the interview at any time. Have you ever wondered if you can sue the police over that type of thing? Well, if you have, now you know the answer is that you can't. So listen, this is obviously something I'm more than likely in agreement with. I don't think that we should be suing the police, but I always find it interesting, right? So one day, I wish that I could just go to law school just to understand the legalese and try to understand the court. And by the court, I mean the Supreme Court's decision making process, because I don't understand their decision making process. So here we can see Supreme Court rules out suing police for Miranda violations, right? So you get arrested, right? And in order to have your rights read to you, let me be very clear about this. You got to have two things that have to be. You have to be in custody, right? You have to be in custody, and you have to be being interrogated. Now, in custody has been always kind of a red herring kind of thing. Well, both of them are not red herrings, but very, very difficult things to kind of nail down. What does it mean to be in custody? Are you at the police station? Are you under arrest? Are you being detained? Right? What do they mean by being in custody? And the other thing is, what does being interrogated mean? Right? So traditionally, interrogated means that questions are being asked that tend to try to get your involvement in some type of crime. So criminal activity and all that. That's essentially generally. So the question has always been, can you be interrogated, or are you being interrogated on the side of the road? I played a video in which a Pensacola police officer was read this young man his Miranda rights on a simple routine traffic stop. Generally, that's not the case. I know that the young man was in handcuffs at the time, so there's some form of custody going on here. But generally, that's not the case. Side of the road questioning and all that usually doesn't trigger the Miranda warning. Usually, although the Pensacola police officer read it, maybe that's the department policy, maybe that's state law down in Florida. I don't know. However, but that's when it gets read. But if they don't do it and you decide to answer questions, just know now that you cannot sue. You cannot sue. Very, very interesting. So let me see if I can read this here. So down at the bottom here in this blue highlighted area, I have here Justice Samuel Alito wrote in his majority opinion that a violation of Miranda is not itself a violation of the Fifth Amendment, the right to self-incrimination, or not to incriminate yourself, is not itself a violation of the Fifth Amendment. And we see no justification for expanding Miranda to confer a right to sue under federal law known as Section 1983. The law, Section 1983, allows people to sue police officers and other government workers for violations of constitutional rights. So the government violates your constitutional rights, and you have the right to sue. But they don't see it that way. So they don't see the Miranda itself as a violation of the Fifth Amendment. It's a constitutional right not to self-incriminate yourself, but failing to let you know that doesn't rise to that level. But they reaffirmed it. Does this say here? Yeah. And if you go up a little bit, the next paragraph up, the issue is in the case was whether the warning given criminal suspects before they talked to authorities, which the court recognized in its Miranda the Arizona decision 1966 and reaffirmed it 34 years later, is a constitutional right and something less important and less defined. Is a constitutional right or something less important and less defined. So they reaffirmed it that it is a constitutional right. You have to do that. It's a Miranda Supreme Court decision. Police officers, when they're going to interrogate someone and when you're in custody, you have to be read your right. Your rights. Your rights. And if they don't do that, then you don't have the right to sue. I don't know. Maybe they just want to keep law enforcement officers out of court, stop the frivolous lawsuits, and things along those lines. So maybe they just want to reflect or talk about, well, they can't be talking about that, just the suing people or suing police officers or other government agents when they physically harm you. So listen, maybe I should read the decision. I don't know, but I'm just reading the article here. But anyway, just know in the meantime, you can't sue. But maybe they hastily rush through these kinds of decisions because they had their eyes set on other things. We already knew about this, right? They had their eyes set on other things. What were the other things that they had their eyes set on? Dobbs versus Jackson World Health Organization. The Supreme Court on Friday ruled on Dobbs v. Jackson World Health Organization. In other words, Roe v. Wade is overturned. Roe v. Wade is overturned. And I guarantee you the state lawmakers are in conservative states already probably had their laws written. They already knew it was coming. They already knew it, right? It's by the end of this day today, and on Friday when I'm recording this, right? This was done today. That I'm sure that most laws will be ready to be signed by different governors. Package is already pushed up the chain of command and all that. So it's already being served. So they had their eyes on bigger things, right? So remember all these women who were out marching the day after Trump got elected, and all that, right? All the things they were worried about. Here is the fruition of all that. All those people that voted for these conservative leaning judges this way, that way, this is the fruition of that. Now, I personally don't think that people are just willy-nilly be getting abortions. I also don't think that that's the general occurrence. I think that there's got to be some type of respect, some type of consideration, some type of precautions when people are engaging in activities to ensure that we're not bringing unwanted persons in the world. On the same token, if and when someone is brought into the world and that there's severe difficulties or mental problems that the child may have when they are born, here's what I say: if you don't want an abortion, don't get one. I mean, I think that that's just the bottom line, and that's the way to put it. And I'm very curious as to how they formulated this and how they decided to do this, and all that. It's really, really very curious to me. It's all being overturned, and all that. So, and here's something that's coming up. I got this off of Instagram. They're not done yet, right? So, it says, for that reason, in future cases, this is Judge Thomas, right? The only, I believe, the only other presenting black, uh, only on the Supreme Court. For that reason, this is what he writes. For that reason, in future cases, we should reconsider all of this Supreme Court's substantive due process precedents, including Griswold, Lawrence, and Obergefell. In other words, they're coming up to gay rights, same-sex marriages, and contraception. That's what the Supreme Court's doing. And listen, they're not done. There may be other things down the pike that we don't realize. Voting rights, whether they can gerrymander, they can redistrict. We got to be very, very cautious and very, very careful about where this is going. Voting, as Barack Obama once said, has consequences. It has consequences. So be very, very careful and very, very cautious about that. Because any substantive due process decision is demonstrably erroneous, we have a duty to correct the error established in those precedents. After ruling these, I'm going to leave it right there. Listen, they're coming. They're coming to get all their toys back. They're coming to get all their toys back. Gay rights, same-sex marriage. It's all it's all on the table. It's all on the table. It's all on the table. They are not playing.